Most gracious God, take our minds and think through them. Take our lips and speak through them. Take our hearts and set them on fire with love for you. Amen. The liturgical year is an odd thing to some people, especially today, though actually there have been some other mainline religions like Methodists and Presbyterians who used to not follow the liturgical year who do so now. And the whole purpose, of course, in having feasts and festivals and particular times of year is to just give us sort of a way of telling the story as we go through a year ourselves, of telling the story of God and of Christ, of telling the story of us. And this Sunday that we celebrate today, and we call it All Saints Sunday, is one of those feasts that really does say a lot to us about us. Actually, does anybody know when All Saints Day really was? November 1st. Halloween, that means All Hallows Eve, was simply the eve of All Saints Sunday. Anybody know what November 2nd is?
All Souls Day.
Yes, who said that? Who got that? Somebody really knows their church here. All Souls Day was November 2nd. Or now it's called more the commemoration of all the faithful departed. So actually, if we were still back in an English church in a village where everybody sort of centered their lives around what was going on in the church, after having a good time on Halloween, we would have been in church on November 1st, and we would have celebrated All Saints Day, which would have celebrated what I did with the kids, that we are all saints of God. It wouldn't have had anything to do with the dead on November 1st. It would have been about we're all saints of God, and we're all called to follow the examples of Jesus and the examples of other people that we've lifted up over time as examples to us. Then when we got to November 2nd, the bell would ring and we'd come in from the fields and we'd go back to church again. And on that day, we would celebrate All Souls Day, and we would remember all the people we have loved who have died, especially the people in the last year, but all the people that we have loved who have died. So since we kind of live in a culture where we don't ring the church bell in the day and you all come running to be here, we kind of put it all in one day and call it All Saints Sunday. And so today is a day to remember both of these things. First, that all of us are saints of God, because all saints means is the holy people of God. We are the people that God depends on. That's what it means to be a saint. So we're all saints. Whether we're good saints or not, it depends on how intentional we are about living our lives as people who want to follow God. And we do it in ways like we've seen there. We do it in ways like being here today to celebrate this occasion. We do it in ways like taking time in our day to maybe mark a time during the day with prayer, even if it's just before a meal. The gospel that was chosen for today in this cycle, that was assigned to us, is a beautiful gospel for this day. But it's one of those gospels that sometimes leave us going, huh? Listen to this again, just part of this. Blessed are you. In other words, happy, fulfilled, joyful, having everything you need. That's what it means to be blessed. Blessed are you who are poor. Blessed are you who are hungry. Blessed are you who weep. Blessed are you when people hate you because you follow me. They don't sound very much like blessings to most of us. Why are these people blessed? Why is it blessed to be poor or hungry or weak? Well, certainly there are many reasons. And of course, one reason is that Jesus told us very plainly, and so did the prophets before him, that God has a very special place in his heart for those who don't have much of a place in our world. God has a special place in his heart for people who don't have much of a place in this world. But that's not all it's saying, because most of us here do have some place in this world. And it says something to us also. It says something to us about what's needful in our own lives for us to be blessed. And that's sort of the unexpected punchline here. That it's not just about those who can't make their way in the world. It's about what we need to make our way in the world. And what we need is a little room. We need to be aware of our own need for something beyond ourselves. And we draw closer to wanting something beyond ourselves and yearning for God at those times when we feel a little bit of some kind of poverty, maybe not financial, but some kind of poverty in our lives, something missing. When we know something's missing, that's when we can more than likely reach out. When we're hungry for something we don't have, when we're not so filled with all the things we usually fill our lives with, that's when we can sometimes reach out and be blessed. When our hearts are broken by something, and it might not even be in our own lives, and we can look at something in someone else's pain and let our heart break for them, sometimes it's then that we are closest to God and to being blessed. Jesus said, I say to you that listen. And it's hard to listen when we're so full of ourselves. And so sometimes we need to be a little poor in ourselves, a little hungry in ourselves, a little broken in ourselves, and know it in order to be able to listen. There's an old story about a young man who was very successful. But he still didn't have what he wanted for a blessed life, and he had no idea what that would be. And so he went to an older man who was supposed to be a spiritual master. And as in all these stories, you have to climb up a mountain to get there. It's not a good story about going to a spiritual master unless you have to climb up the mountain. So he climbed up the mountain to get to the spiritual master. And when he got there, he said, "Oh, Master, I've heard such great things about you. And I want to learn your secret. Everyone says you live such a blessed life. I want that for my life. Please tell me your secret." The older man didn't say a thing. He just said, and he came out with a rather large cup and a pot of tea. And he just began to slowly pour the tea. And he said, "I'm listening." And so the young man began to talk. He said, "I've been very, very successful. I went to school, I worked hard, I got several degrees, I've made a good living for me and for my family." And the tea kept pouring. And he said, "That's really enough." And the old man nodded and said, "I'm listening." And he kept pouring. And even though the guy had said it's enough, and he said, "And I have a wonderful family, I have beautiful children, and we have a wonderful house." And the old man kept pouring. And he said, "But I still don't know the secret." And the old man said, "I'm listening," and kept pouring. And the young man said, "And I have all these things I love to do. I love to play the guitar, I love to golf, I love to go to football games. In fact, we have so much going on, we should be happy all the time, because there's never a dead moment in my day." And the tea kept pouring and pouring, until finally it was getting pretty close to the top of the cup. And the young man said, "Do you realize that you're about to pour more and it's going to spill out of the cup?" And the old man said, "I'm listening." And the young man said, "Yes, but I've been telling you all of this, and you won't tell me the secret. And now there's tea all over everything." And the young man said, "I'm listening. The secret is, I'm listening. Your cup is so full to overflowing that you have no room to listen."